Hey, this is Step Amit. Welcome to my exorcism.io series. In this video, I'll be working through the ISBN verifier exercise from the exorcism.io Ruby track. In this exercise, we will be verifying ISBN 10 numbers. And an ISBN 10 number is a book identification number. You can see here the example of numbers with dashes. So the format of an ISBN 10 is 9 digits, 0 through 9 plus 1 check character, which is 0 through 10, but the 10 is represented as an X. All right, so the formula that we will use here, starting from the left, is we multiply the first digit by 10, the second digit by 9, the third digit by 8, all the way down to the 10th digit being multiplied by 1, and we add those up. And then the sum should be evenly divisible by 11. And if it is, it's a valid ISBN 10 number. Otherwise, it is invalid. All right, let me go ahead and grab this and pull it down. And I'll start a new TMUX session. Copy in my rake task that lets me run my tests with my key mapping I've got set up in Vim, and then open up the test file and see what I'm looking at. Actually, I'm going to remove that guy. Okay. So we have a file isbn_verifier.rb containing an ISBN verifier class with a class level method valid A that takes a string and returns a Boolean, true or false, or truthy or falsy, I guess. And that is it. There are some cases here where we've got invalid characters that we need to account for, or too short, empty, too long. Okay. Let me go ahead and open my test running pane. And I'll run the tests, and of course they'll fail because I deleted that file. So let me go ahead and recreate that. And swap these panes. Now it's going to complain because I need to initialize the class. An initialize constant. So let's do that. Of course, you need the class keyword. Next, I need to create the class level method, or define it. Valid. So you'll notice, this may be my first video you've watched. You'll notice I wouldn't follow the test failures most of the time. And when I run the test, I try to predict what the outcome will be. Is it going to fail, and why will it fail? Or will it pass? So this will now fail because of the arity of the method. Wrong number of arguments, given 1, expected 0. So I need to accept an ISBN number to check. And next it'll fail because it expects it to be true, but we're returning nil, which is falsy. And so the assertion is going to fail. So I can go ahead and just return true for this first example to get us past it, and see where the next test takes us. All right, test invalid. So this just will return, invalid ISBN check digit. Okay. So this needs to return false. I think I'm going to go ahead and just implement the core solution without taking into account, X's and other things. And so what we need to do. So what I notice here when I look at the look at this algorithm here, is that starting from the left, we multiply by 10 and then count down to 1. Well, when I look at the an array is indexed left to right starting at 0. So what I have in mind is to reverse my array of characters, or first get this into an array of characters, array of integers. Get each element with the index and the index plus 1 to convert it from an index to the multiplier here, and then reduce that whole thing. Take each one, each element, do the multiplication and add it to the accumulator and reduce it. That's what I think I'm going to do here. So in order to do that, I need to take ISBN, and I need the characters. And for now, I will naively map those to integers, even though that's not going to work almost immediately when we have an X, but that's okay. This will get us started. I need to reverse those. I need to get each with its index, and then reduce that. And the reduce will give me two things. Okay, so reduce, I need to initialize it with 0 because I'm doing math on it there. Reduce, first give me the accumulator, which for the first element will be 0. And then because I've done each with index up there, the second element that it hands me will be an array. And that array will contain the digit and the index. You know what? I don't want the digit with, okay, let me do this first, and then I'm going to immediately refactor it into what I want that to be. So I can pull these two things out. I can get the digit. I need the digit, and I need the index. Really what I want is the multiplier. So, okay, let me extract these though. Digit with index, because what I need to do is, I need the multiplier actually, and that is index plus 1. And then what I can do is I can return accumulator plus digit times multiplier. I need to do one more thing. I need to get rid of dashes. So let me start out. Let me do that with a G sub. Expected false. That is not a valid. Oh, yeah. So I need to take this whole thing. So it's not really returning true. It's returning a value. It's returning the integer that's left over at the end. But what I need to do is check the modulo of 11. Is that equal to is that equal to 0? Okay, there we go. I actually don't want to have to do this in a separate step here. I want to do this in my map. So I'm going to move the map down here, and I'm going to have to expand it to do that. This will give me the digit and the index. And what I want to return is also, I have to return it as an array, the digit and the index plus 1, because I want to return the multiplier. I want, by the time I get in here, I want my multiplier. Because that's really what I care about in this block. Sorry, I jumped ahead to some refactoring. I probably should have just left that for later, a later refactoring step. And I need to convert that. Oh, that's what I forgot to do. I could just do it right there. Okay. Let me continue on, and then I'll try not to do any more refactoring until I get to the end. Okay, this is going to fail because it's expecting we're getting an X here, and we're not actually handling that case. So I'm just going to do that right here. So digit in this case is X. Well, I'm just going to introduce a ternary for the moment, even though I don't think I'll keep that for long. If digit is equal to X, then we want 10. Otherwise, digit to I. I need an extra open paren there. All right. Test check digit is a character other than X. This should throw an exception. Okay, so this happened to pass because so watch this. So if I ask for 6, the string 6 to I, that's going to give me the integer 6. If I ask for a to I, that's going to give me a 0. It gives me an integer. It just gives me a 0. And so I think what happened here, is that the rest of these numbers, the sum of these digits when they go through the algorithm, are evenly divisible by 11 by themselves. So we're going to need at least one more test. Okay, here's another one with an invalid character. Hopefully this one will fail. All right, cool. That failed. So what I can do now is I can introduce a validation here at the beginning to check the format that I've been given what I think I have. Okay, so to do this, I want to split this up because I want to check the format after the G sub has happened. And what I want to do here is return false unless ISBN matches a given pattern. And the pattern is going to be, so 9 digits followed by either another digit or an uppercase X. And actually, it has to be exactly this pattern starting from the beginning of the string to the end of the string. This is exactly the pattern that we support. We support nothing else. And we need to spell false correctly. All right. So let's see. Let me see how far that gets me. That should be fine. Valid without separating dashes. Let's see. Yep. I don't know why that matters. Check digit without digit and dashes. Without check digit and dashes. Too long. This should pass. Too short. Okay, that should be good. This should pass. Let's see. Test check digit of X should not be used for 0. I have no idea what that means. Empty. Yep. So that format string is catching a lot. Input is 9 characters. Invalid characters are not ignored. They are not ignored. Input is too long but contains a valid ISBN. That should pass as well. All right, let's start refactoring this guy. The first thing I'm going to do, because there's several different bits to this, and it's going to be a lot easier if I'm dealing with an instance of an object that has state and that I can easily add methods to without passing things around. So the first thing I'm going to do is initialize an instance of my ISBN verifier and call valid on it, the valid instance method, and turn this method into a class level convenience method. And just paste what I've got in here. And before that will work, I need to set up my class a little bit here. I need to add an adder reader for ISBN, and I need to define an initialize method that accepts ISBN and sets the instance variable. Oh, and I need to do one more thing because this is now a method name. I can't set it that way, so I can do that. And actually, you know what? That's not what I want to do. This is sort of a normalization step which happens here. I want to do it right here. And I'm going to immediately refactor that into a normalize method since I use that word, not moralize. Normalize, which will be a private method down here. Because my initialize method has no business knowing the details of what I need to do to take this input and get it in the state I need it to. Okay, so let's see what's next. All right, this is some low-hanging fruit here. I see this regex pattern here. This is the same principle as like a magic number, where I don't really want it unless the meaning is obvious. I don't want it here inline in my code. I want to give it a name and move it to a constant. So I'm going to call this ISBN pattern. And I'm going to start dealing with this big block of stuff here. So pretty often a chain of calls like this in a Fluent interface like this, where I'm not reaching across an object chain in a violation of the law of Demeter. I'm calling this successive set of operations. This is really working sort of like a pipe operator at the command line, or similar thing you see in like a functional interface. It's this, and that's what it is. It's kind of a functional interface where I'm taking input and I'm transforming it in several steps here of things that I chain together. But it can get, I don't have too much of a problem with chaining these things together, but it can get a little unwieldy and a little hard to unpack. And one of the main goals that you're trying to accomplish with refactoring is the readability, the understandability of your code, the maintainability of your code. How hard is it going to be in 6 months when somebody else, or even me after I've forgotten all this context, comes back to this code? How long is it going to be for me to untangle what's happening? Well, this is a little complicated. What would be much easier for me to understand looking at this valid method is return false unless ISBN matches the pattern. Okay, cool. And what if it does match the pattern? Well, I want to know if the ISBN sum, I'll call it, modulo 11 is equal to 0. All right, well, what's that? What does that mean? Well, I take this whole block and just move it to a method called ISBN sum. Okay, I need to remove that bit from the end. There we go. This is much more understandable. And actually, see, I've got this. I do have another magic number here that I want to name ISBN divisor. I think that's good. And so the divisor, it's the number that my sum, the sum of my digits plus the checksum should be evenly divisible by. Yeah, I think that reads pretty well. It's like in other exercises I've introduced there's a method that I wish existed that I think is missing from numeric or from integer in Ruby, and that's divisible by. And so I add this sometimes just sort of in place as a local modification, which really I should do as a refinement. I've got a spot in my tactical refactoring course where I just monkey patched. I guess it's not really a monkey patch. I added a divisible by method to integer, and a student in my course pointed out that I could have used a refinement for the same thing. And yeah, I actually need to go back and add that missing bit to my course, but showing how I would use a refinement. But yeah, this actually this is actually much better. It reads better, but this pattern of taking a number, the modulo another number is equal to 0 is so common that maybe this is the prejudice of 2 decades of coding, that I look at this and I read this, I know exactly what that means. But I go back and forth on those kind of decisions, because one of the ideals I set up for my code is that I want my code to be as readable as possible to a non-programmer. I would love for product manager to be able to read my code, and even though they may not know all the specific details, like they may not be able to unpack this regular expression, well, except for my product manager is a developer, so he would be able to do it. But I want it to be as clear, as readable to a layperson as possible, where even if they couldn't have produced it themselves, they can make sense of it and they know what's happening. That's my goal, because if it's that clear, then when I'm coming back in 6 months to make changes to this code, I don't have to expend that mental energy on unpacking what's happening. I can use that mental energy for the actual work that needs to be done and the actual new challenges that need to be solved. I want to save the hard thought for the hard problems, not for the easy problems that have been made hard, if that makes sense. All right, let me continue. Let me climb down off my soapbox for a second and continue. All right, so let's see. What's next here? What can I do here? So I've got this bit going on here. I think I want to name this because it's not immediately clear to me. I mean, yes, okay, I've got the digits and I want to pass that back when I'm mapping. But really what I'm doing here is I'm dealing with the index. I'm adding 1 to it. Well, if you're just reading this code, so for me, I'm writing this code. I know why I'm adding 1 to it. I'm adding 1 to it because I know that the multiplier that I want is 1 greater than the index, because the index starts at 0, but the multiplier starts at 1. I know that, but somebody else coming in to read this, they don't know that. They just see index plus 1. They see it's magical. It's mysterious. Why are you adding 1 to the index here? I guess you had a reason. So some people would add a comment. What I prefer to do as much as possible is instead to give it a name. So I'm going to name this, let's see, index to multiplier, and pass it the index. I think I'll need parentheses here. And that should go above. I just keep things in alphabetical order as much as possible. Index to multiplier. Does that make sense why I did that? Because that's a pretty simple change, and I added a sort of a level of indirection. I hid the fact that I'm just adding 1. But by naming it index to multiplier, it's suddenly clear to anybody reading this code what's happening, that I'm taking the index and converting it to a multiplier, so that my map now contains a digit and a multiplier. It's those nice little things that make a difference when you come back later. All right, now what do we do about this block? Because a few things happening here. There's this bit, there's unpacking these guys. I'm not crazy about having a ternary in here. It's not terrible the way it is, but I think I'm going to extract a digit here. Let's see. I want the way I want this code to read is I want this block to return the accumulator plus, I'll call it ISBN digit new with my arguments, digit with multiplier, and I'm expanding those here with that little asterisk. I'm expanding those into the individual arguments, and I want the value of that. So I'm just going to add that right here inside of my class. ISBN digit. It's going to have a couple of adder readers for digit and multiplier. So I need an initialize method that takes both of those. And so I'll just set the instance variables to what I've been passed. And I need a value method that to start with will just contain that, which I copied. Okay, so digit with oh no, I don't need that anymore because I've got digit and multiplier. I don't have a cum. Oh, I just need to return the whole thing. Oh, wait. So can I just get rid of those two? All right. So now suddenly this little bit at the beginning looks a lot more like normalization to me. Normalized digit. So now, and I'm going to change this. I'm not crazy about ternaries usually if digit is equal to X. So what? Explain what I did here. So I've been given some kind of digit here to my ISBN digit. If it's an X, then I want it to be the integer 10. And this is an exception case, right? I'm using a guard clause because this is not the default. This isn't like what I expect to happen. It's the thing that might happen, and I need to do something and just return if this is the case. Otherwise, the default case, I'm going to return the digit as an integer. Anything else? I think that's it. The reason why I'm going to leave this 10 right here instead of extracting it is that it literally represents the number 10. It's not representing something else. You know, I could call it X value. And in this case, I wouldn't want it here. It'll work here, but it would. This is really a concern of ISBN digit. You know, I don't know what I think about that. It's fine for consistency. You know, I guess it does encode that knowledge. Whereas if I just have a bare 10 there, even though the 10 represents the number 10, it's still making the knowledge more a little more hidden that X, you know, X represents the number 10. But anyway, this is it. I'm going to go ahead and submit this. All right, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking through to the end. I hope you got something valuable out of this. If you did, please click that like button below so that it makes it easier for other people to find this video and find this content. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell if you want to be notified when I post new content. And I will soon be posting other types of videos besides just these walkthrough videos. So you'll want to check that out. And if you would like a deeper dive into how to approach refactoring, a methodology, a workflow that will help you write code today that you won't hate in 6 months, leave code better than you found it, become a hero to your team, and add massive value to your company, then you should check out my tactical refactoring course linked in the description below. All right, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.